Hey everybody. So let's see here. On Monday, August 5th, which will be session 13, I'm not available. So I had made a previous commitment to help somebody out, and I wasn't sure what the schedule was going to be. We had to coordinate with some other people, and so that ended up landing on the 5th, and I decided that I wanted to honor that commitment, and so then we're going to pre-record all the content. Luckily, what we were going to be doing is mainly one-way communication, watching me code. This is a deeper dive into Android development. I'm going to be showing you some of the ways to build an Android application, to move between different activities, to take an input from the user, all with an eye towards then giving you the building blocks that you need to build your own application for Project 5. So, like I said, I'm pre-recording all of this stuff. I'll make it available. You can watch it during class time on the 5th or at any other time. I think it'll give you a good opportunity to, I think it'll give you some good information to get started with your project. But let's begin by discussing the project. So, Project 5 is the final increment of your phone bill application. And it really is the culmination of everything that you've been working towards here during the course. So, basically, you'll build an Android application that provides almost all the same functionality as your projects 1 through 4. And so the whole idea is that through the app you'll let the user create a phone bill, enter calls, pretty print the calls, do the searching just like you did in Project 4. So most of the functionality, and of course all of the input checking and other things will need to be done also. Now note that the Android app, it's not only a new code base, but it doesn't use a REST API like you did in Project 4. There's no client-server architecture. Let's just keep it simple. You've already demonstrated that you know how to invoke REST APIs in Project 4, so the app for Project 5 will be self-contained. So while you will be using things like your text dumper and certainly your phone bill and your phone call, you won't be using the servlet that you created in Project 4. So other than that, there's not a lot of requirements for the project. This is meant to be a creative endeavor, and really beyond actually getting something to work, I want to give you the leeway and the freedom to explore Android development and to explore what it means to make a usable app, something that seems intuitive and is easy to use. So, other than just a handful of things that I'm going to point out here, there's not a lot of prescribed there's not a lot of prescribed requirements for the project. So let's see here. Instead of a -readme option, instead the UI for the Android app should provide a help menu or help button or something that displays the information that's there in the README. So who you are, what project it is, and then also which oh yeah, and then also the description of the project, what it's all about. Now, error handling is different for this. Not so much the kind of errors you need to detect, but the way you convey it to the customer or to the user. So, of course, in your Android app, there isn't. There is actually standard output, but users are going to see that it gets logged to some file someplace on the device. Instead, you should pop up a dialog box that describes the error. So maybe it's a toast, maybe it's a different activity that you go to. Again, use your creativity, and figure it out. Now note that the pop-up dialogues and toasts and things like that should be only used for conveying small pieces of information. Something like pretty printing your phone bill shouldn't be put in a toast. I've had a couple students do that. It's like, that's kind of ugly, and they lost a little bit of points for it. Or even a phone call might be a little big. Of course, use your judgment, but I guess I'll use my judgment too when grading. Oh yeah, and by the way, I grade the Android projects because it's all because you don't even though you submit them on the PSU machines, we don't run them on the PSU machines. So I'll be running it on my laptop. So again, use creativity and your imagination when you're designing the user interface, but remember, we want to be usable. So this probably isn't the time to introduce like a brand new UI widget paradigm or have crazy colors or something like that. You want something that will make sense to me. Now, submission works essentially the same. You use a submit script. You say project 5. But I guess something important to note here is that the submit script will submit basically all of the required files. So that not only is that your source code, but it will include the Gradle files, the XML files that contain the activities, any icons, etc. And just to be clear, the Android development environment isn't installed on the CS Department's Linux machines. I wouldn't want to, even if they could install it. You're not, you can't do a Gradle build or anything like that on the CS Department's machines. That's okay. I think you're very used to moving code back and forth, through GitHub, and so then you can be pretty confident that all this will work fine. Again, I'll grade them on my personal machine, and that's why when we set up the Android Studio in class, I wanted to make sure that everything worked on my machine. So we covered a lot of this stuff already, but just if you will actually do check out developer.android.com. Not only does it have not only is it the place where you download the Android Studio, but also it has, let's open it up here. It has links off to documentation and lots of other stuff. Android courses, although you might find some of the stuff is like it focuses on different things than lecture content that I provide. So just make sure that that you appropriately balance the investment in your time in terms of learning general things about Android and just like getting Android stuff done. But anyway, lots of great stuff on this website. Although a lot of the newer things are pretty complex because we've only got a couple of weeks to cover all of the Android content. I try to keep things very simple there. Anyway, so lots of great stuff on developer.android.com. As we talked about, I need to change the assignment. It's not 33, it's 35. Is the emulator. I think that's the emulator that I'm using. Pixel, yep, 35. So I will update that in the assignment. I apologize. And that's what I'll use to test the application. I'll talk about this tonight, or in this recording. But you'll need to add something to your app build.gradle to be able to use the abstract classes, the abstract phone bill class and the phone bill parser and stuff like that. Otherwise, please copy sources and tests for your phone bill class, your phone call class, your text number text writer, text number text parser stuff to the Android project, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit here. Oh yeah, there's one other piece of functionality that's important to have in the program and that in the app, and that's the ability to save the phone bill out to a file so that if the app is if it crashes or if it's quit, if it's killed, then when the app relaunches, it should reload the phone bill that was previously written out. I guess actually phone bills, when I think about it, because in Project 4 you could have multiple phone bills, in Project 5 you should be able to manage multiple phone bills also. And here is, actually I haven't tested this link in a while, I hope it still works, looks like it still does, yep. Great. Here's a nice page that describes about all the different kinds of yeah, okay. All the different kinds of ways of accessing the local storage there on the Android device. And again, I'll show it off here in a little while. Okay, let's see here, and some more notes to you in terms of what I'm going to do when I grade it. So make sure that Gradle Clean and Gradle W build run. So this is the command that you run from the command line. It's like Maven W, but it uses Gradle instead of Maven. And then what I'll do is I'll take the zip file that was submitted by running submit.sh, and I'll extract it to the file system. And oh, it looks like okay. It looks like I might have deleted some stuff. Don't worry, the submit script should take care of everything. I'll turn off the linter when I run because linting will cause things to fail, and you don't need to get all the linting warnings removed. It's like, try your best to provide feedback. Android Studio will underline lots of things in yellow, but I'm not going to take points or not try to grade your project just because the linter fails. And note that you can add automated tests for your Android project, but I'm not going to run anything, run any of the automated tests. I'm just going to build the Android app. So there's no code coverage requirement for the Android project, and there's no JavaDoc API requirement. You have already demonstrated that you know how to write API documentation, so I'm not gonna bother to do it here. And finally, what I'm going to do is run the emulator using a command like this. Again, this will be 35. And then I'll run Gradle W install debug to install the app. And then after I have put it through its paces, execute some test cases against it. And the test cases will be in the vein of what I've been doing with the command line projects in terms of adding phone calls to a phone bill, looking for error checking for things like dates and phone numbers, making sure that the phone bill is persisted and that it is reloaded when the app restarts, stuff like that. And once I do all that, then I will reset the emulator using Gradle W uninstall all, which will just uninstall your app from the emulator, and then I'll move on to the next student. So I know this might sound like a lot, and if you haven't really dove into Android yet, it might seem a little daunting. That's okay. There's a lot of stuff here. It is different, but the feedback that I've gotten from students over years is that the Android application really is a lot of fun. It's something different, and I hope you find that's a good way to end the course. Sort of a culmination of all the hard work that you've put in, learning Java, learning about the APIs, learning how to build software and refactor things, navigate IntelliJ, that you have an opportunity to apply all that information, all that data that you've learned, all those skills that you've gathered, and then what you end up with is an Android app, something fun and different. So if you've got any questions, please reach out in the class Slack. Questions about the assignment, please put those in the general Joy of Coding channel so that everybody can benefit from the answers that I provide. Okay. Now let's see here. Now let's go start writing some code. So here's my Android Studio, and this is the app that we started building the other night. And right now it doesn't do very much. Right, there's one activity in the main activity. It's got one button called Launch Calculator, and when you click on it, it puts up a toast saying Launching Calculator. And so then we saw this basically was an example of how to we saw how to use the designer to put a button here, how to associate a method that is called when the button is clicked, and how to make a toast with the toast.makeText and then show it. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to evolve this app into a calculator app. And what we're going to do is when we click the button, a new activity is going to be launched. And eventually that activity will be a calculator activity that allows you to put in two integers and press a button to compute their sum. And then we're going to see how we can return a value from an activity that can be stored in a list of data on the main activity on that first screen. And then we'll also see how to write that data out to disk, and we'll see where on disk. By disk, I mean the storage on the phone. To write out to the storage on the phone, and then finally we'll create a phone call class, and we'll use it in the Android application, so you can see how to how to make your project depend on the necessary prerequisites, so you can use abstract phone call and such. So lots of good stuff. Stay back. Luckily, everything is, or rather, sit back and enjoy. We will take, or rather, you'll take some breaks. I probably won't. I'll be talking the entire time. So feel free to pause and make sure that you can pay attention, because we got lots of stuff to cover. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a new activity. Remember, an activity represents a screen in the application, and this is the activity that's going to be launched when we click the Launch Calculator button. So the easiest way to create a new activity in Android Studio is to go to the New menu and say New Activity. Now, this was a very basic app, and so we want an empty views activity. Where is it? Empty views activity, right? Not basic views. That has a whole bunch of other stuff that really doesn't make that basic. We want empty views activity. It just basically gives us a blank slate to start with. And when I would do that, it's going to prompt me for the name. I'm going to call it a calculator activity. Yes, I want to generate a layout file. Remember, that layout file is that XML file that specifies the contents of the or the visual contents of the activity. Calling it activity calculator is fine. It is not a launcher activity, meaning it's not sort of the main screen, or you can't launch it from another program. I want to put it in my package, and I want it to be in Java. So this is all great stuff. Okay, I'm going to click Finish, and it'll generate some source code. Yes, I would like to add those to Git, so thank you very much. I'm going to even not ask again. Okay, and it created some files. It created a calculator activity. I'm just going to get a little bit more screen real estate here. And it's there in my package. This is here again some generated code from Android Studio. It's got all this boilerplate here on the onCreate. That's all very nice. And then I can navigate off to the layout files here. As you can see, there is nothing in the activity right now. So let's do that. Let's just add some really simple stuff, though. Oops, make it big. Let's just add two widgets. The first is going to be a text view. A text view is actually, well, let's just do same thing. Okay, text view, which is just a label, right? And we're just going to call this a calculator. Oops, hello. Oh, I guess I can't edit it there. I need to go to the, I'll just go look for the text right here. I don't want the text of the text to be that. I want it to be, just call it, well, I don't know. I can just call it, this is a calculator. Sure. Okay, set that text attribute, and there we go. Also want to create a button which will basically go back to the previous screen, and so then we'll just call this the text will be go back, or actually we're return. What do I want to call that exactly? Back to main. Yeah, I think that's a little bit more obvious of what it does exactly. Back to main. Nice. And as you'll recall, right now I don't have constraints on any of these, meaning that they're kind of free-floating. And if we then go look at the XML view, you'll see that, well, Android Studio has said, oh yeah, it's not constrained. Oh, and it's also saying that it needs some string resources. Let's just fix this stuff while we're here. Add some string resources. And then we'll go back to designer view, and we will, let's just, put some constraints on this stuff. Have this guy just next to him or her, it. And then, there we go. And then we will anchor this guy to the bottom. Oh, got to anchor this guy to the top of this person. Sorry, I'm anthropomorphizing the UI widgets. Let's see here. That is attached, but this is not. How do I... Oops. Why can't I do that? Come on. Maybe I don't need to because the other one's already there? No, I kind of want... So that one's connected. I struggle with the like. There's no anchor there for me to anchor it to. Yeah, weird. Wonder how it's going to look. Okay, well we'll find out in a minute, I guess. So we've got these two widgets here, and let's. Okay, so we went and added that, and so let's look at the XML one more time to see if there's anything. Nope, there are no complaints. So there's one warning. What is this? 1 week warning found so far. Okay. Layout fidelity warning. I wonder what it's saying there. Okay, yeah, tell me something. We'll see what it looks like. But I've got that activity, and now I need to launch it. Now I want to launch that activity when the button on the main activity is clicked. Right, so when launch calculator is clicked, I want to move from this main activity off to the calculator activity. And the way that you do that is that you use something called an intent. Now, I talk about intents a bit in the lecture. The whole idea is that an intent is, an intention to perform some operation. And one, a popular kind of, or commonly used type of intent is to have one activity launch another activity within the same application. But you can also use an intent to perform a more general operation like send an email or send a text or play some music or visit a website, right? And then it's up to the device, the phone, to determine how to fulfill that request. And we've probably all seen this on our devices where you click on a URL and it says, oh, you're visiting a website. Which browser would you like to use if you got multiple browsers on your phone? Or same thing with sending an email where one app goes to send an email and then the phone will prompt you, hey, which app do you want to use to send that email? And that's all part of the app's operating system. That's all part of the Android runtime, which is to understand what this intent is and how to fulfill it. Okay, sorry, that was a little sidebar here, but that's not what we're doing now. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use an intent to launch the calculator activity. And so the way that we do that is we create an intent. Oops, there we go. And we'll make a new intent. And intent has a bunch of different constructors. And instead, the one that we're gonna do takes is this one that takes a package context and a class. Now, the package context is just the context in which the intent is created. So that'll just be the this object. That's just this activity that we're working in. And then the class that we want to launch, the activity that we want to launch, is the calculator activity, and you give it the class for that. So that's the intent that says, hey, go launch the calculator activity. And then what do? Well, we start the activity. There's a start activity. There's just one of them. Method that takes an intent. And so then, when you click the launch calculator, it'll go launch the calculator activity. I realized there's one thing that I forgot to do off in the calculator, and that was here in the back to main. I want to add a on click to then say back to main, and then I'll add this back to main to the calculator activity method, and this is we'll simply call the finish method. And what finish does is it basically says, well, this activity is done, pop off the stack and go to the previous activity. So then this is, right, an activity is displayed for a while and the user interacts with it, and we'll see in a while the user will enter in some enter some text and perform an operation. But when the user is done, you can on the Android you can use that triangle button to go back, but you can also here have a button in the UI to then finish the activity. So again, what we've done here is that we've created this new calculator activity. We put a simple label and a button that says back to main. When you click on that button, it finishes the activity. Sorry, it finishes the calculator activity, and will display the main activity again. So let's run this and see how it goes. Okay, cool. I'm going to pop this out so that's a little bigger. Nice. So now we click Launch Calculator. It displays the new activity. It says this is a calculator, and then back to main. And when you click back to main, it goes back to Launch Calculator. So nice. That's what I did there. This is how you navigate from one activity to another activity, right? You use that intent. So back here in the Launch Calculator method, we create an intent that says, hey, listen, I intend to display this other activity. Go start it. And so then the start activity method will figure out which activity to launch. And then once that is displayed, when the back to main button is clicked, the back to main method is invoked, and it simply finishes this activity and goes back to the previous one. Okay, small little bit. I'm going to commit this. Let's see here. Add a new calculator activity that is launched from the main activity. It can be closed with the back to main method. Nice. Okay. Cool. So we got that simple functionality. The next thing I want to do is I want to put some more interesting stuff inside the calculator activity. I want to have a series of widgets that allows me to enter in two integers and compute their sum. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some new widgets here. So in addition to this is calculator, and this is the calculator, and back to main, I'm going to add, well, I want a row of widgets. I'm going to get a little more screen real estate just by showing design view. So I'm going to look at layouts, and I want a linear layout, a horizontal linear layout. So this is, again, this is a layout. This is a container that holds other widgets. So I'm going to put this one here, and it takes up all this big space. As a matter of fact, let's see here. I'm just going to fix this. I'm going to remove that constraint. No, I want to remove that constraint. I want to constrain this to the bottom of that. Ugh, this always gets me. I'm going to put this here. Yep, constrain that there. Constrain you there. This one, I want to get rid of this constraint. Let's see here. Can I find this little anchor right here? Nope, that's hard. I wonder if I can see. And you'll see me fidget with all of this stuff. I think there is a way. What I can actually do though, it's easier. So I just go into the XML. Here is this is a calculator, and let's see here. Constrain. Okay, so here instead of constraining to the top of button 2, I want to, I want to constrain it to this thing, so I need to put an ID on this, and I'm going to call it, what am I going to call it? Widgets. I don't know. That's probably a dumb name, but anyway. And I'm going to put it, let's see here, sorry. This is, yeah, right. Constrain the bottom of this thing to the top of widgets. I think now it's going to look a little better. Yep, nice. And that thing is, let's constrain this to the bottom, top of that, to the bottom of that. Okay, nice. Okay. So I think that'll be okay. So now I've got this horizontal layout. And what this does, a linear layout, and what this does is it will lay out its children widgets in a horizontal row. So what do I want in this? Well, I'm going to want a couple of text fields where I can enter in the left operand and the right operand. Between those two, I'm going to want a button, which you click and put to compute the sum. And then I'll have a... Actually, well, I'll have an equals method that computes the sum. I'll just have a... equals button that computes the sum. And then I want another... a text view that displays the sum. It'll just be easier if I do this. So the first thing I'm going to use is a plain text over here. And then I want, and this will be the left operand. And then I just want a text view. So that plain text is editable. Here we go, text view. And this is where I want the, oops, nope, I want this one. Here I want the text to be, oops, really? I want the text to be plus. We're going to get rid of that. Oops, we got rid of this. And here I want the text to be just plus. Great. Oh, I want the text alignment to be center. Nice. So I have this one. Some here I want, I'm not going to have any text in this instead, and I'm going to have text alignment be centered. And I want it to be more narrow. So can I just drag it to have it be more narrow maybe? And not so much. Let me just add some more stuff in here. I'll add another plain text for the other operand over here. Nice. Then I'll add a button for equals. And then I will add another just plain text view for the sum. Okay, oh, this is all gotten super squished. So let's make this a little bit more narrow. Good, now we can see things a little better. I'm going to take that name out. And again, I'm going to make the text alignment center so that text goes in the middle. The button is way too wide, so I will just do that. Oh, and I'll just, oops. I will change the text to be equals and make this more narrow. There we go. Oh, everything's getting wider now. That looks better. Yep. And then this will be, this won't have any text. It'll be the sum, and then this will be centered. I think I do want the sum to be a little bigger. Can I don't know, how big is that? Yeah, it looks pretty decent. Okay, so I'm using the design editor here to do all of this. It's as you can see, it's a little wonky in places, but it's ultimately much easier than trying to figure out how to have all of this, yeah, all this XML code in here. Oh, let's see here. What is it saying? Linear layout. Oh, it's not constrained horizontally. Yeah, let me fix that. By I should have done this at the beginning. Can I move that over there? Yes, and then move this over here. Yeah, maybe that's happier now. Is it happier? Close the palette. Yes, it seems a little happier. Wasn't complaining about edit text. Missing an autofill hint. Sure, let's put an autofill hint. Oops. There we go. Set autofill hints. Number? No. Integer? Oops. What is that? Okay, phone, username. Well, it's none of those things. So what is this? Set autofill. Important for autofill? No. Yeah. And now what was it complaining about? Okay. Eh. You know, I recommend that you try to make Android Studio a little happy, but then don't worry about it too much. Here, I want to create a resource string, so we'll just call it plus. Oh, that's really not something that would be localized, I guess. Same thing with equals here. Nice. Okay. So we've got our widgets there, and the layout appears to be pretty good. So I'm going to run the app again to just see how it looks, and I'll show you what we can do with it. My device, it's still running, it's still launching. So I'll launch the calculator, see how it looks. Okay, so you can put a number in here, like 5. Maybe I can put the number 5 in there. 7? Oh, there it is, 57, yep. Plus 9. And what I want to be able to do is click equals and then have the sum show up over here. So, okay, so it looks like it's laying out all right. Oops, let me get rid of the keyboard, like with that, yeah. And then say back to main. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so that's made some good progress. I'm gonna check this in. This code is ready to go. So added widgets to the calculator activity. Calculator activity for entering two numbers that are well, for entering, yeah, that will be summed together. Okay, it shows up to GitHub. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to implement some of the logic behind this. So basically, when I click the equals button, I want to get the two numbers that are here in the text fields, compute their sum, and populate this text this text box right here, this yeah, label, because it's uneditable, with their sum. So I need to respond to a button click, so I'll just add on click, and I'll say compute sum, and then I will create this in calculator activity. Okay. So here I am in the Java code, and what I want to get is the text that's right in here. So the way you do this in Android is that you get a reference to the object that represents this text field. And the way you do that is you reference the text field by its ID. So you saw me do this before where I added an ID to the linear layout. So every widget in an Android app can have a unique ID. It's specified by this ID attribute in the XML. And when you say at plus ID, this will allocate a new ID for this widget, and then you can reference other IDs. You can reference the IDs of objects too, either in the XML or in the code. Now I'm going to get so right now the default ID is button 3. Not very interesting. I'm going to call this instead. Oops, I'm going to call this equals. Oops, what's it doing? Come on, delete. Oh, interesting. Wow. Okay, the editor was kind of freaking out on me here. Equals. So actually, I don't need to change this one because I'm not going to reference it anywhere. Sorry. What I do need to do is I need to put IDs on. I need to change the ID here. So edit text, not very interesting. I'm going to call this left operand. I'm just going to call it left. And here I'm going to call it right. And I'm also going to need an ID for this one right here. I'm going to call that one sum. And now that I've set those IDs, I can get those objects here in my calculator activity. So here in compute sum, I'm going to get reference to those objects. Now, the type of the object is this thing right here, like text view or edit text. Oops, or edit text. So I'm going to get myself an edit text, and I'm going to call it left. I'm going to call it left. Yes, import that class, please. And the way I get it is there is a method called find view by ID. So view is the superclass for all these UI widgets, and then I give it an ID, and it's a well-known ID to the application. And I use that magic R object again, just like r.layout up here to reference the layout for the activity. Here, I use it to reference an ID of a widget within that layout. And so now here, I want the ID of left. Oops. Oh yeah, no, I found it. Okay, just didn't give me a thing. Yeah, cool. Actually, now can I navigate? Will it navigate back to it? Oh, it will. That's so cool. I want to do the same thing for right. So edit text right equals find view by ID r.id.right. And now I want to also have a text view, because that is the, well, actually, sorry, I'll go a little slower here. So then looking at the activity calculator, there's also a text view for the sum. Yep, sum is a text view, so I will, let's copy that clipboard and say text view sum equals find view by ID r.id.sum. Okay. Import the class. Now I've got a reference to the object that represents that UI widget. And this is an object in Java. And so then you can access all sorts of attributes of it. So what I want to do is I want to get the string that is in that text. So I'm going to say left string, and I'm going to say it's the left edit text, and there's get text method that returns an instance of editable, which then if you get a string value, that is the text that's returned. Same thing for the right string, right.getText.toString. And then I want to convert these to the strings that are in the text to integers. And so then I can just use a standard Java API to do that. So left value is going to be integer.parsent, left string, and then right string, right value is going to be, just do the same thing, integer.parsent of right string. And now I'm going to compute the sum, which is going to be left value plus right value. And what doesn't like about sum? Oh, you're right, sum value. There we go. And now I'm going to say sum.set text to the string value of sum value. So what I'm doing here is I'm leveraging these Java APIs that exist on these objects, right? And so you can go off and find the API documentation on the Android developer website to see exactly what a text view has. But yeah, it's got a bunch of methods that you can call, things like set text. As a matter of fact, it's exactly the same set text that we saw, that you see in the designer. Let me go back to the designer. That we use, well, I mean, that sets the text. Here we go, sets the text value in the text view. So for instance, right here, yep, the text is specified as reference to a resource ID, which actually you can also reference in the Java. So we could say something like, you know, sum.setText, and see how there's a version that has a resource ID. So I think you say r.string.plus. Yeah, right. You can do it that way. So again, you know, the resource here, this r.string.plus, is the same thing as the @string/plus right here. All right, this is just a way of navigating to that same resource. And that resource is actually defined off in this strings.xml file right here. So yeah, this is kind of what you do in Android development, right? You're working back, you're going back and forth between the designer to lay out your widgets, create and lay out your widgets, and then you go to the Java code to actually do something with them. Okay, so now I've done this. I'm going to redeploy my app. I'm going to click Launch Calculator. And now 4 plus 3 equals 7. Nice. Okay, so that appears to be working. So again, what we've done here is implemented the compute sum method to go off and get a reference to the widgets in the UI. In this case, the left edit text, the right edit text, and then the sum over here to the right of the equals sign. We implement the very simple logic of getting the integer values out of the widgets. Getting the text out of the widgets and then converting them to integer values, computing the sum, and then setting the text for this widget over here, which by the way is not editable, to their sum. Nice. So implement the computation of a sum. Of the sum of the two numbers in the calculator activity. And push that up to GitHub. So you're probably thinking, well, what happens when I have a value here that is not a number? And I click equals, and oh, it went back to the main page. I actually didn't go back. Actually, relaunched the app. So the same thing here. If it's like if it's empty, it says, "Oh, phone bill keeps stopping because your app crashes." So then, okay, good to know. I'll just close the app because I'm not doing very good error handling. So let's do that. So let's do a couple of things. Let's see here. I'll just say, hey, if left string, well, I'll just say is empty because I can't remember if it returns an empty string or a null. Oops, left string. New thing. Well, maybe there is a text. No, that's kind of interesting. I'll implement my own string return string equals null or equals string. Oh, it doesn't like there. Oh yeah. Right. Okay, good to know. So then and then we'll make a little toast. We'll toast that and say make text this, and then the text is, let's see here, we'll say enter value for left operand. Duration will be toast dot long, and then we'll show the toast. As a matter of fact, I'm going to then refactor this out into a method. And I'm just going to call it toast. Thanks, Android Studio. And I'm going to then inline that. Oh, you know what? I don't have the I don't have the keyboard shortcuts thing that's turned on in Android Studio. I should do that. I'm going to toast, and then I'm going to return from the method because there's nothing else to do here. And actually, let me just rerun that so that we can see. Launch calculator, and now if we say equals, oh, we get the toast. Toast, enter left value for left operand. Nice. And so you can imagine how we do this, right? We'll do the same thing for the right. If the right string is empty, then for the right operand. And similarly for these, well, let's see here. I want to catch, so I want to split that into declaration and assignment, wrap this in a catch of a number format exception. Because right, the reason it was failing before, format exception, and then toast left value is not a integer. Oh, this is left string, not left value. And then return, because we're done there. Similarly, I'll do the same thing here. Some declaration assignment, wrap it in that try catch block. And then right value, right string, it's not an integer. Nice. Okay, now we've bulletproofed our code against now at least those kinds of errors. So we'll run the app again. And luckily, after once things get warmed up, redeploying the app is actually pretty quick. So this makes for pretty rapid feedback, all things considered, as I evolve my app. So here I got that, and then R 4. Okay, enter value for +4 equals 8, and now if I have Q here, it'll say left value Q is not an integer. So let's put that to 5, and then H, and then right value H is not an integer. Great, cool. 11. Cool. And so I'll say make toasts when the sum data provided by the user is not integers. So anyway, that's a technique that you can use to do input validation in your Android apps. So you've got, let's see here. So now you've put in your sum, and now you can go back to main. So let's see here. Where do I want to go next? I think the next thing I want to do is when I launch the calculator and I compute a sum, I want to, then when I dismiss it, when I click back to main, I want to take my sum, my number 10, and send it back to my, my main activity. So I'm basically passing data from one activity to another. Now, the way Android does this is, I don't know, a little on the wonky side, but it's easy to understand. So the first thing we're going to do is in the main activity, when we go to launch the calculator, instead of just saying start activity, we're going to use the start activity for result method. And yeah, I know these are deprecated, but it works. And now when you start an activity for a result, you give it a code that represents the activity that you started, and so we'll see how this is kind of woven back into things. So I'm just going to call it, get sum, and I'm going to create a constant field for that. It's just an int, and 42. Why not? Nice. So I've got the get sum method. Now this will go off, and now when it launches the activity, it'll say, "Well, I'm launching you, and I'm expecting the result, and the code for this operation I'm performing." Or that the code for the data that you're sending back is going to be this get sum value. So this is when you launch the calculator. And there's also a method you need to override in order to handle a result that is handed back to the activity. And so I'm going to say code and then override methods, and it's going to be the onActivities result method. onActivity, oops, we're not seeing it. onActivity result. Activity result. There it is. Okay, so then this this has this onActivity result passes back a couple pieces of information. There's the request code, which will correspond to this getSum. There's the result code, which is an indication of like, hey, was this, was it operation successful? And then there is an intent object. So remember what an intent is for passing data between activities. An intent that contains the data that is passed back. First thing we do is call super so that the bookkeeping is all taken care of. And then we're going to determine whether or not the result that is sent back is the one we care about. So we'll say, hey, if the request code is that sum, is that getSum, then if the result code is result OK, oops, there it is, seems to know about it. So like, the activity said, yep, I was able to give you some good data. Then what we're going to do is we are going to get the sum value from the intent, from the data. And the way that we do this is that we get we can call it the extra data associated with with that intent. And the name of it is going to come from the calculator activity. And we're going to call it the I don't know, sum value. And we'll create that, but the default value, we'll just have it be 0. Really, that shouldn't, well, yeah, we should get that. Okay, and so I'm going to create a constant field sum value, yep, and I don't know, let's call it sum. Nice. Nice, and then we're going to go back to the main activity. Oh, it was always false. I must have gotten something wrong there. Yes, the result code. Great. Get an extra, what is it complaining about? May produce null pointer exception. Oh, that's fine. Oh, I guess we got to say that. And data not equal null. That's neat. Okay, so we'll get that extra data, and then we're just going to make a toast. Make text and send it into this, and we're going to say the sum was sum dot show. Oh, and I need one more argument, which is the toast dot long. Nice. So this is handling the result that you get back from the sum. And actually, I kind of did this out of order. I probably after I showed the start activity for the result, should have gone to the calculator activity, because now back to main needs to set results. Yeah, it needs to set the intent. So okay, so what this thing does, when you go back to the main, you create an intent, and let's call it intent. And this will be a new empty intent. It's a 0 argument constructor, doesn't need anything. And here is where we're going to set the extra, oops, add extra, sorry, extra, what is it called? Get extra, wait, put extra, there you go. Put extra. And so I'm creating the intent, and it's going to have the sum value here. And then, oh, right, the sum. I need the sum. So right here, when I create the sum value, I just use it to set the text. I'm going to instead put this in a field. Yeah. And create that field. Nice. And so when this method is called now to compute the sum, it will store the value of the sum in a field in the object, and that's going to persist between method calls. So now our back to method can reference the sum value, and it'll set the result for the, oops. Oh yeah, I use the result code. And, okay. Result equals okay. Yep. It'll set the result, and then it will finish. So the whole idea is that an activity can have a result that you associate with it, and you set it usually before you finish. I suppose I could have set it. I could probably also have set it in the compute sum, but I don't know. This to me seems more explicit. That's like, hey, I'll set the result right before I finish it. So sorry, let me walk through that again because it was pretty fast. The first thing we did was we changed the launch calculator. So this is back on the main activity. When you click the launch calculator button, now instead of just starting the activity, you say start activity for result. You give it the intent that starts the activity. And you say, well, here is the result that I'm expecting. I'm expecting to get a sum. Then over the activity in the back to main, well, I guess the first thing that we do is that we store the sum value of the sum in a field, so it can be referenced in the back to main method inside as extra data associated with the intent. And you need to give it the extra data a name so that you reference it here in the put. And then in the main activity, you override this onActivity result method to say, hey, listen, if I got if the result that I got was the getSum operation, and if the result was okay and there is some data involved, go get me the extra data, that sum value, extra data associated with the intent, and just put it in a toast. So let's run that and see what happens. Okay, I'll launch my calculator. I'm going to make myself a sum of 4 plus 7 equals 11. And now when I click back to main, it pops up the sum was 11, right? So what happens is I create my sum. And then when I click back to main, what does it do? It has the value of the sum in the sum value field. It puts it in intent and essentially passes that intent back to the main activity. So when the main activity launches again, it toasts, and the order's a little funny, it sets up a toast that says, yep, the sum that you returned was 15. So I am going to commit that. Send the sum from the calculator activity back to the main activity and display it in a toast. Nice. Okay, cool. I'm going to take a quick little break, and I recommend that you do the same, but I'll be back shortly with more. Okay, we're back. So again, what we've got right now is you click on Launch Calculator, you put in your 2 plus 3 equals 5, you go back to main, and it brings the number back to the main activity. Now I want to show is something called a list view. This allows you to display a bunch of something, well, in a list on the on an activity. So I'm going to add a widget for the list view to the main activity. Come on, thinking about it. And let's just give it a little more screen real estate here. So in addition to launch calculator, I'm going to want from the palette, I'm going to want a list view. Actually, where is that? There it is, list view. And I'm going to put one here. Nice. Where is the list view though? Oh, there it is. Cool. And yep, sure, it'll show 5 by default. I'm going to, oops. I want this I want to move this from, come on, gotta find the right place. There to here. Oh, bother. So I'm just going to do the thing like I did before, the button. Let's see here, constrain top of the button to top of, not of parent, but of this list view. So I need to add an ID, Android ID, oops, Android ID equals, okay, oh, no, I'll be right back. Okay, we are going to assign an ID to this. So we'll just call it, I don't know, at plus ID slash list view, whatever. And then the button, let's see here, constrain top to, let's see here, top, constrain top to bottom of, oops, what did I just do? There we go. Constrain top to bottom of at ID. Actually, I don't want plus ID. I just want add ID list view. There we go. Yay, got that right. Okay, so this guy needs to be constrained to the top here, constrained to the bottom here, constrained to the bottom here. No? Okay. And they get to the right and to the left. And okay. That looks good. Nice. Then we'll move it down just a little bit. Okay, cool. So now it's got all of these items in here, and we'll see how to populate this later, but or just in a moment. But yeah, let me just quick reload it just to see how it looks in the app. Oh, I want to name this list view. Actually, I don't want to call it list view. I want to call it sums because we're going to be referencing it in the. See here, did that get in both places? It did. Good. Oh, it's it looks like it's not displaying minutes because I haven't populated with anything, so I think that's okay. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let's just put some basic information in it. So I have the widget here, and now I need to populate the widget, the list view widget with something. So I'm going to go to the main activity. Now, list view, and this is all covered in the lectures. So list views are backed by what's called an adapter. An adapter is the data structure that holds, well, the data that's displayed in the list view, and the list view gets its contents from that adapter. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a field to main activity called sums. And actually, I'm going to, well, yeah, I'll just declare it up here. This is going to be, so private adapter of, array adapter of integer, array adapter of type integer. So this is saying that, hey, the data that is, of integer, the data that is displayed in the list view is going to be a bunch of integers. And then I'm just going to call this sums. Yeah, and well, I can just initialize it here, I guess. New array adapter. Oh, what doesn't it like? Raw use, oh, well, oven. Really? Oh, wait, maybe, no, I'm not going to, no, I need to put the context and everything. I'm not going to put it here. Instead, I'm going to initialize it here in onCreate. This.sums equals new array adapter of, I'm surprised it doesn't need that anyway. And then, okay, this is where it gets a little tricky. So this constructor takes a whole bunch of things. So it needs a context, so it's going to be this. And then it's got like these resources and such. This is a little bit of magic. I'm gonna type it in, and then I'll explain to you what it means. So we're gonna use as I'm typing, I'll explain it. So there's an R there's an R for your app, and then there is an Android wide R, which gives you this. I don't know. I call it a prototype. In the layout, and it's something called Simple List Item. Simple List Item 1. And so this is a widget that is used basically as a template for populating the list view. Yeah, you go look it up and go read about it. I'm not going to try to explain it here. I talk about it a little bit in the Android lecture. And then this is going to be backed by a new array list right here. So basically, what this is doing is it is creating a new array adapter that is tied to this main activity, and it's going to use a simple list item to as the prototype for its contents, and is backed by an array list. And so that is the sums field, and I put it in a field because I'm going to reference it in a different method. What I'm also going to do is then associate this adapter with the list view. So I'm going to get a list view. I'm going to call it list view equals, and this is where I'm going to get the find view by ID, and then r.id.sums. Yep, there it is. So there I go and get the list view, and I'm going to set the adapter to be my by this sums field. Oops, what doesn't it like here? It should. That's weird. Really? It does. Did I get it wrong? No. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why it's complaining about that. Layout activity main does not contain a declaration with ID sums. No, it looks like it does. I wonder if it's going to build. This is the list view inside the activity main. And I wonder if it's because I renamed things. I wonder if let's see if I, well, actually, before I rebuild it, there's one more thing I want to do. I want to show you how you'd work with the array adapter. So sums, and you can say add some numbers. So I'll just say 1, 2, 3. And now if I run it, let's see what this looks like. Oh, good. It went away now that it rebuilt everything. Okay, it was just a little out of whack because I did that rename. Good, there is 1, 2, 3. So each of these is now in an element in that list view. Okay. I'm just going to add this. Added a list view to the main activity that will eventually display all the sums. Push that out. Okay. Well, so this has some canned data in it right now, that 1, 2, 3. That's not what we want to leave in there. Instead, we want to put the sums in the sums. So when we get the sum down here, in addition to making the toast, we can say this dot sums dot add sum. And now when we do this, so there's nothing in there right now. We launch the calculator. We make a 4 plus 5 equals 9. We say back to main. The sum was 9, and now 9 shows up there. And now we can do a different one. We can say 3 plus 8 equals 11. And we can say back to main. Sum was 11, and now we've got 9 and 11. So what we're doing here is, again, we're adding these sums that come back from the calculator activity to this array adapter of sums. And because array adapter backs the list view, because we said set adapter, when we add something to when we add an element to the sums adapter, it'll automatically update the list view. So the list view is kind of watching the sums adapter, if you will. Let's see here. So I think that's that. Now, actually, there's something. Here's what I want to show off next. Oops. So if I then go and if I stop the app and I relaunch the app, all my sums are gone. I want to save my sums so that when I launch the app, they come back. So let's do that next. Now, after I guess down here, after I add the sums, I'll call a method called write sums to file. Okay, so I'm going to get a file. This is a Java I/O file, because you can do this in Android, right? It has all the Java classes. And I'm going to call it the sums file. And this will be a get sums file. I'm going to use it again, I know. I'm going to create a method. Oops, I'm going to create a method. And this is going to be, what is it? This dot get data dir? Yeah. Okay, so Android is a Linux device, basically. It's got a file system. And so then, at runtime, you can get information about the file system that's there. And actually, each app runs as its own user and has its own, part of the file system associated with it. So it's got its own, directory hierarchy for data and everything. And so then, if you get the data dir, this is the directory that contains the data associated with this app. And so then I'm going to create the sums file in, it's called sums.txt. Here is going to be a file that we then read and write the sums to and from. So, and you can use the standard Java APIs for working with all this. I'm going to get the sums file, and then I'm going to say try print writer pw equals new print writer. Yep. And around a file writer. And see, you can use the API classes that you've been using since Project 2 for doing, let's see here. I will add exception method signature, and I'll surround this with try catch, and I will make a toast. So actually, here I'm going to make it a toast method. I'm going to put this into a message variable, and then make this guy into a method right here. I'm going to say toast. Nice. And then I'm going to inline the message variable, and here I'm going to say, if there was a IO exception, I'm going to toast saying while writing sums. And I'm going to say e.getMessage. So I'm going to then write the sums out to a file. So let's see here. That array adapter. I don't. This.sums. Does this have like an iterator or something? I can't remember. No, I probably need to do a get at or something like that. Get count. And then get item at, get item ID, get item, this returns an integer. Okay, so I got to do this kind of the old-fashioned way. For int I equals 0, while I is less than this dot sums dot size dot count. Yeah, count I plus plus. I'm going to say int sum. There's one of them. Is going to be this dot sums dot get value. No, get item. There we go. Get item at element I. And then, what doesn't it like here? Unboxing a blob may produce null pointer exception. Well, what do you want me to do about it? Okay, that's fine. Really? Really? Okay, fine. Integer. And then I'm going to say pw.println sum. And that will auto close, although I should probably do a pw.flush. Well, yeah, whatever. Nice. So this will write the sums out to the disk every time that that new one is added. So let's run that in the app and see what happens. So I'm going to create some sums. 4 plus 3 equals 7. There's one sum. And now 3 plus 5 equals 8. There is another sum. And now, one of the things that I can do if I go to the running devices, oh, I guess it's here. Oh, now I need to go find it. Sorry. There is a way to, actually, is it down here? No, 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 no. Drat, I meant to look this up earlier. It wouldn't be under Device Manager. It would be under Running Devices. Because, here, I'm going to see if I can, file system, how do I, no. Oh, drat. There's a way to browse, at least there used to be a way to browse the, file system of the device. It's got to be here someplace. Extended controls. What do I got for extended controls? Let's make it a little wider. Oh, here we go. No, this is all the configuration of the of the uh, of the device itself. Come on. Oh, it used to be over here on the side. Notifications. Yeah. Darn. I wonder if I just have to do it the hard way. Yeah, inspector. Hardware input. Okay, I'm gonna go look. I'm gonna do a Google search. Android Studio, browse, device, file explorer. Yeah, well, device files. Yes, view on device files with device explorer. Yeah, where is device explorer? Oh, there you go. View tool windows device explorer. Okay. Yeah. So view tool windows. There we go. Device explorer. Yeah, I knew it was over there someplace. Okay, I guess it'll add it there now. Okay, now let me hide this. So now I can choose the device, and I'm looking at the file system right here, and I can I search? Okay, now I need to go find it. I can never remember where it is. Sorry, I should look this up ahead of time. Sys? No. Probably be under. And if you notice, this looks a little bit. Oh, actually, it looks a lot like Unix. Oh, wait, data. There it is. Data. And actually, edu. Oh, drat. Where is it? Data app. No. App. Metadata app. Private? No, nothing in there. Oh, darn. Oh, wait, here it is. Data. Yeah, here we go. App data, and then come on, where's the edu? Where's my stuff? Oops, it's still scrolling. There we go. EDU PDX CS410J. Sorry, CS410 Joy Whitlock. And then there's sums.txt. And so now I double click to open it, and it goes and fetches it from the device. So in data. And then it opens up here in IntelliJ, and sure enough, we've got 7 and 8, which are the sums that were written. So read library code easily. Well, that's good to know. Yep. And so anyway, this is how you. So this demonstrates that yes, that file was written to disk here, and so it resides on the device. And now my device explorer will stay around for longer. Yay! Okay. Well, I wrote the sums. Now I need to read the sums, and I'm going to read the sums here in my onCreate. So I'm going to set up all that. I'm going to say read. Sorry, what did I call it? Write to file. So read sums file. So I'm going to say read sums from file. And now I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to say my sums files. Now we get sums file. And should I just, what do I call it? Sums file? Yeah, sums file. And now I'm going to get a buffered reader. Equals new buffered reader from a new file reader from my sums file. And it's going to throw an exception. So I'm going to add exception to the method signature. I'm going to surround this guy in a try catch. And it's going to say toast of while reading file, while we're reading sums file, and then e dot, yeah, just point e, whatever, that's fine. Oh, what doesn't it like here? Unhandle exception. Oh, yeah, I need to use that one instead. And now I need to say, yep, that's right here. And okay, so now, right. So for string line equals br.readLine, while line doesn't equal null, line equals br.readLine, and there might be a better way to do this, kind of like the old school way. And then, yeah. So then I'm going to convert the line into an integer. Int sum equals integer.parseInt, and yeah, I probably actually, if I was doing this for real, I'd definitely make sure this is an integer, and then I'm going to say this dot sums dot add sum. So right, what am I doing? I'm reading in from the file, and I'm storing it here in my my array adapter of sums. Now, I'm going to rebuild my application. Oh yeah, it read the file. That was nice. It came back because it read the file. Here I was thinking I was going to recreate that data. So now 3 plus 6 equals 9. And when I go back to main, the sum is 9. Now when I kill the application and I restart it, 789. Cool. So that's how you can use the file system on the device to store data for your application between invocations. And so now when reads about, when it launches again, it will read back in the files, read back in the data that was written out previously. Okay. Write the sums to a file and read them back in when the app is started. Or actually when the main activity is started, but you know. Okay. That's a lot of capabilities that we got here. Let's see here. What else do I want to do? Oh, right. Yeah, the last thing I want to do is I want to reference a phone call object. So, right now I'm dealing, with strings and integers and things like that. I want to have a phone call. So what I want to do is here in my my project code, I'm going to add a phone call class. I'm going to say new Java class. And I'm going to call it phone call. Now, this is the phone call that you just copy yours in. I'm going to start over with a new one. And I want this one to extend abstract phone call. Phone call, and it doesn't know about it. Well, the reason it doesn't know about it is because when we created this project, we didn't tell it about any of the code for the class. We just started. It has a whole bunch of Android code, but it doesn't have any. It doesn't have any information. It doesn't have any extra information about the class, about the course, right? So I'm going to go to the build.gradle in the app module, and Gradle. Okay, that's nice. This is Gradle. It's got a lot of configuration and stuff. And what we're interested in is the dependencies. And so we're going to add a new dependency. And it's going to be an implementation dependency. And let me see here. From the assignment, we're going to add implementation, and it's going to be this thing. Oh, beware of these quotes. They're fancy quotes in the PDF. So, but you can just copy all of this stuff. And then we can go back here and say implementation of, I don't think we need that version. I think we can just say this. Oops. We can just say that. And what is it saying? It's saying use version catalog instead. Ugh. Really? Replace with new library catalog declaration for projects. Okay, fine. It's created this thing over in Gradle. Yes, please sync to the IDE. It's now created something new over here in this libs.version TOML file. I have no idea what that is. But this is basically saying, hey, here are the libraries. Right? Here's JUnit, and oh, interesting. It's even got a project ref here. Okay, yep, this version project, great. Okay, and what is complaining about these things that they're old? Yeah, that's nice. Please don't upgrade those things. It might mess things up. So what I did was I added a new dependency, and I'm syncing the Gradle project, which is just like when you had to sync your Maven project with IntelliJ, right? It goes through and analyzes all the things, and now it has this new dependency, which is the project code. And so now it hopefully knows what abstract phone call. It does. I can import the class. Yay! And now it knows all about it. Well, cool. This is a really important thing for you to do, right? Because you're going to be using the abstract phone call. You're going to be using the text dumper, all that kind of stuff from your class. You're going to be using them in your code, and so now we can use my code too. So I want to implement this class. The caller will just say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Oops, those meant to be dashes. The caller 7 8 9 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. Get begin time string. We'll say it begins now and ends later. And so then, let's see here. The next thing that I'm going to do, so now I've created a phone call, and I was complaining that it's not used anyplace. So let's go use it someplace. And I think what I'm going to do is, yeah, I'm just going to. Well, actually, here's what I'm going to do. Instead of toasting the sum here, I am going to. I'm going to create a new phone call. Phone call equals new phone call. You know what? I want to pass in the sum and use it in something. So I'm just going to. Here again, I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. You're not really going to do this. I'm going to create that constructor, and I'm going to put it into a field called sum. And then I'm going to, do that. And I'm just going to. I don't know. I'm going to put the sum as, I don't know. I'm being silly here. I'm going to say plus and then the sum, like it's some sort of like non-US phone number, and then dash that. Why not? I want to demonstrate that I can pass it in there, pass the sum into this, and then have it display in the toString of the phone call. So the phone call is that, and this will demonstrate that I can use the phone call class in my Android app. It's kind of hokey and contrived, but I hope you see what we're doing here. We're just, the goal is to use the phone call class in the app, and maybe it'll take a little while longer for everything to build here. I'm not sure. Yeah, definitely Gradle's taking its time, and this is the cool thing about Android and the build tools is that they're highly optimized. So like if you make a little change, like when we were just adding some logic and stuff, it's pretty quick. But when you make a bigger change, like adding a new library and then introducing a new um, uh, object into the mix, it takes a little while. One of the things that Android does underneath the covers is that when it builds, it really does a lot of analysis and optimization for your app, which is exactly what you want when it's on a phone. You want, phones have limited um, resources, and so you want to make sure that the code is compact as possible. And so then, it's much cheaper to do all the optimization either at build, well, both at build time and then at install time when the app is installed. So it might take a little longer to install the app too. I don't know. It wasn't too bad. Now it's launching it. Okay, so it's got 789. And so now I'm going to launch the calculator. And I'm going to say 5 plus 5. I'm going to do the equals. It's 10. Now when I go back, it's going to pop up a toast saying, the phone is phone call from blah, blah, blah. And you saw it was a plus 10 there. So I'll just do an 11 now. 6 plus 5 is 11. You go back to main. Yep, there's plus 11. There it is. That doesn't all quite fit there. Well, that's good to know. So anyway, that's how you are able to use the phone call code in your Android app. The important thing to do is to add this information to the build.gradle in the app directory. There are 2 build.gradles, also one for just the phone call. So if you see a tiny little thing like this ain't the right build.gradle file. Instead, you want the one that's slightly longer. It's got some more information. And most importantly, under here in the dependencies section, you add the implementation. And I did the single quote, this string here, which says all that. And then IntelliJ wanted to correct me to then put it into these TOML files. So, okay, whatever, that's cool. So, yeah, let me check this in. Okay, added a reference to the phone call class. Phone call class to demonstrate how to use the course's code. Nice. Okay. Let's see here. And that's everything I wanted to show off. So as you can see, we added a lot to our little application, right? We started off by adding a new activity that is displayed, this calculator activity is displayed when we click Launch Calculator. It has several widgets in it, including this one horizontal laid out set of widgets that allow you to put in numbers. We saw how to do error checking there. We saw that when you click the equals button, it goes and executes some Java code that gets a reference to those fields, gets the values out of them, and then computes the sum. And then we saw how we can pass that sum back from this calculator object back to the main method, and we can do stuff with it, like add it to a list view that is backed by an array adapter. And all these values are persisted to a file so that when the app is stopped and then relaunched, it reads those values back in again and populates that list. So those are a bunch of pieces parts that I recommend that you study and look to see if you can leverage it in your Project 5 in the Android app that you built. So that's everything I got. I appreciate your time watching this video. I apologize I can't be there in person, but I'm guessing that probably most of you would have watched the recording anyway, if not, even if you did attend live. So please let me know if you have any questions about anything that you saw here. I appreciate it when you post on the General Joy of Coding, a channel on Slack, so that everybody can benefit from the answers that I provide. Hope everybody has a great day, and I will see you in class. Bye now.